On my 75th birthday, I set the table for my family, expecting a dream vacation together, only to eat alone, betrayed, with my money funding their getaway. My heart broke, but I found my strength. What did I discover, and how did I fight back? You'll want to see this. Smash that subscribe button and like this video to uncover the shocking truth. Trust me, you won't look away. I celebrated my 75th birthday alone, eating by myself while my family used my money for a vacation. It was supposed to be a memorable milestone. I was promised something I hadn't felt in years, a bit of joy, some light, and a chance to feel valued again. I got dressed, cooked a feast, and waited. But that day changed how I saw everyone and everything around me. I may be getting older, but I'm not blind, and I'm certainly not helpless. Thank you for letting me share my story. Drop a comment below with the time and place you're reading from. I love hearing from you. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It means more than you know. Now, let me tell you what really happened. For months, I looked forward to that trip. Back in February, my son James told me they were planning a special celebration for my 75th birthday. "A real getaway," he said. "Somewhere warm, Mom. Just pack your favorite clothes. We'll take care of everything." I was so excited I nearly spilled my coffee. I hadn't been anywhere but the pharmacy or church in years. Since my husband passed, I hadn't seen a beach. When I asked about the cost, James brushed it off. "Haven't you worked your whole life? You deserve this. We've got it covered." A week later, he asked to use my credit card to book group tickets and secure the rates. I hesitated briefly, but trusted my son. I handed it over without too many questions. "We'll go in late April or early May," he said. When April passed, I asked again. "We're just sorting out the schedule," he replied. "It'll line up with your birthday, I promise." I believed him. I even bought a new purple suitcase on sale, keeping the tag on by the front door. Over 2 weeks, I packed it carefully. My favorite hibiscus sundress, church sandals, a sun hat I hadn't worn in 8 years, and my husband's old handkerchief for comfort, as if he'd be with us in spirit. But the night before my birthday, James called, sounding rushed, like he was driving. "Mom, I hate to say this, but we've got to push the trip back a bit," he said. My heart sank. "For how long?" "Just a few weeks, maybe. Some scheduling conflicts." "Okay," I said. "But I'll see you for dinner tomorrow, right?" A pause. "Of course," he replied. "Wouldn't miss it. We'll swing by." That was enough for me. I tried to stay calm. Plans change. Life gets busy. I told myself it was fine. At least I'd see them. So, on the morning of my 75th birthday, I woke early, played my gospel playlist, brewed coffee, and started cooking. Fried chicken, candied yams, macaroni, fresh green beans with smoked turkey. I baked a sweet potato pie from scratch, using real vanilla, not the fake stuff. I pulled out the good china with the gold trim, reserved for holidays, and set the table for 5. Me, James, his wife Laura, their daughter Emma, and maybe Marcus, the neighbor, if they brought him a plate. I wore my blue floral dress, the one my husband said made me look 10 years younger. I curled my hair, added a touch of lipstick, and lit the tall candles I saved for Easter. The house smelled like love. By 5 on Chagshwag, I was ready. By 6 on Chuha, I started to worry. By 7 on Kwas, I'd reheated the food twice. By 8 on Kwas, I stopped checking the window. By 9 o'clock, I sat alone at the table. The candles were half melted, the food cold, my lipstick smudged. I stared at the empty plates, telling myself something must have come up. Maybe an emergency with the baby, a car breakdown, a dead phone. But deep down, I knew no one was coming. My hand shook as I picked up my fork. I took a few bites, but the food tasted wrong. I pushed the plate away, rested my elbows on the table, and stared at the birthday card I'd bought myself at the dollar store. It read, "You're still glowing," in pink glitter. I thought it was cute when I picked it up. Now it felt like a cruel joke. I cried then, quietly, the kind of tears that slip out when you've held them in all day. My shoulders shook. I wiped my face with the tablecloth and sat in the silence, letting the pain settle. No calls, no texts, not even a "Happy birthday, Mom." At 10:30, I wrapped the pie in foil, stored the food, blew out the candles, and changed into my nightgown. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the purple suitcase, still packed, still waiting. I turned off the light and lay down, the ache in my knees sharper than usual. The ceiling fan's soft hum was the only sound. I folded my hands over my stomach and whispered, "Maybe they forgot." I tried to believe it, but I knew better. They didn't forget. They just didn't show. The morning after, the house felt empty, not peaceful, but hollow. I sat on my bed, staring at the suitcase, its tag still untouched. Part of me wanted to believe James, that the trip was just delayed, that I needed to be patient. I went through my routine, brushed my teeth, tied my scarf, shuffled to the kitchen, but everything felt sluggish, like moving through a fog. I made tea, but didn't drink it, opened the fridge, saw the pie, and closed it. I couldn't face leftovers. The dishes from last night sat in the sink, untouched. I wrapped myself in the old knit shawl my husband gave me, smelling faintly of cedar and lavender, and sat on the couch, staring at the floor, listening to the wall clock tick. It was nearly noon, and still no calls, no texts, no "Sorry we missed you, Mom." I clung to a sliver of hope that they'd reach out, that they got the date wrong. Then came 3 soft knocks at the door. I got up slowly and peeked through the curtain. It was Marcus, the sweet kid from 2 doors down, always polite, raised right by his grandmother. I opened the door. "Hey, Miss Clara," he said, holding a grocery bag and smiling. "Got that lemon dish soap you wanted." "Bless you, honey," I said, stepping aside. "Come in." He set the bag on the counter. I was about to offer him tea when he noticed my phone on the table. "Still having app trouble?" he asked, picking it up. I nodded. "It keeps freezing. You know me and technology. I hit one wrong button and it's gone." Marcus chuckled. "Let me check." He sat at the table, swiping through settings. I wiped the counter to keep my hands busy. Then he paused. "Miss Clara," he said softly, "didn't you say James was planning a birthday trip for you?" I turned slowly. "Yeah, a family vacation, but he called the night before and said it was postponed." Marcus hesitated, glancing at his phone. "I didn't mean to pry, but I follow Emma on Instagram." I frowned. "Okay." He turned his phone to show me a photo, a beach with white sand, blue water, and there, in matching Wilson family vacation shirts, were James, Laura, and Emma, smiling, tanned, holding fruity drinks by a huge hotel pool. The caption read, "Much needed break. Wilson vibes, hat, no stress, just sun. Posted last night, on my birthday." I froze, staring. My mouth opened, but no words came. I took the phone from Marcus and zoomed in. It wasn't a day trip. It was a full-blown resort vacation, with fancy dinners and spa days. I scrolled. Laura twirling in a sundress with a champagne glass. James laughing with a cigar. Emma showing off a new gold bracelet. Photo after photo, but no mention of me. Marcus sat quietly, unsure what to say. I swallowed hard and set the phone down. "They said it was postponed," I whispered. "Said they'd come for dinner." Tears stung my eyes. I blinked fast, but they fell anyway. My shoulders trembled as I pressed my hands against the table. "They left me," I said. "They really left me." Marcus knelt beside me, his voice gentle. "I'm so sorry, Miss Clara." I thought you knew. Not your fault, honey, I said, wiping my cheeks. It's mine for trusting them. He didn't argue. He just sat with me, and that hurt worse, knowing a neighbor cared more than the family I raised. After Marcus left, I sat in silence. Then something stirred. I needed the truth. I turned on my old computer and logged into my email, which I hadn't checked in weeks. James always said he handled the bills and bookings, but I remembered one password. I searched reservation. The first result stopped my heart. A booking confirmation from a luxury resort in Miami. A full week, ocean view suite, spa add-ons, all paid in advance with my credit card, the one James asked to hold for emergencies. My hands shook. My stomach twisted. They didn't just forget me. They used my money, lied to my face, and left me to cry over cold pie while they toasted on a beach. I shut the laptop, stood, and walked to the hallway mirror. I wasn't a frail old woman, but a mother taken for granted, silent too long. For the first time in years, I felt clarity, not bitterness, just truth. After seeing that email, I went still, not numb, but calm, like my soul was catching its breath. I didn't call James or slam anything. I just stood in front of the mirror Harold hung when we moved in. I studied my wrinkles, my freckles, the smile lines now heavier with sadness, but I didn't feel weak. I felt awake. The next afternoon, Laura called, her voice syrupy, like nothing happened. "So sorry we missed your big day, Miss Clara," she said, as if she hadn't had my number all week. "James is coming by with something nice." I said, "All right," and hung up. That evening, James walked in without knocking, like he did as a teenager. I was in the kitchen folding dish towels, not looking up. "Hey, Mom," he said, like he'd just run to the store. "Brought you this." He set a white paper bag on the table, a slice of red velvet cake from some upscale bakery, wrapped like a wedding favor. I glanced at it, then at him. "That what you brought back from Miami?" His smile faltered briefly, then he chuckled. "Oh, you saw the photos?" "I saw everything," I said. "The drinks, the hotel, the shirts, Emma's bracelet, the steak dinner, all on my birthday." He scratched his neck, shrugging. "Mom, we didn't think you'd want to travel that far. You tire easily." "That's not what you said. You said it was postponed." "We changed plans last minute. It's not a big deal." I stepped closer, voice steady, heat rising in my chest. "You used my credit card, James. Paid for it all in my name." His head snapped back. "What? It wasn't like that. You gave me the card for emergencies. I thought you'd be fine once you saw we had fun." "You thought," I repeated, "that I'd be fine cooking a feast, setting a table, wearing a dress for my 75th birthday, only to be lied to and left paying for my own exclusion?" He looked annoyed now, defensive. "It was just one birthday, Mom. You've had 74 others." My hands shook as I gripped the table. "One birthday? My first without your father. I thought you wanted to spend it with me, not run off." He groaned, slumping into a chair. "You're being dramatic." I blinked, stunned. "Dramatic?" "Yeah," he snapped. "It's not like we left you with nothing. You had food. You always say you don't need much. Why's this a crisis?" My heart pounded. I thought of holding him during fevers, skipping meals so he could eat, pawning my wedding ring for his braces, praying for his safety when he stayed out late. I thought of him calling me his favorite person as a boy. Now he was saying my pain was too much trouble. I sat across from him, staring into the eyes of the man I raised. "I'm your mother, James, not your wallet." He said nothing. I didn't cry this time, not in front of him. I grabbed the broom from the pantry. "You can go," I said softly. He looked surprised. "Mom?" "I need to sweep," I said, "and I don't like sweeping around things that don't belong here." He stood slowly, searching for words, but left without speaking. The door closed. That night, I sat on the porch under the string lights Harold and I hung years ago, a blanket around my shoulders. I didn't cry or smile. I let the cool air brush my face and listened to the crickets. I still loved my son, but I couldn't unsee the truth or unfeel the hurt. I thought that was the end, that we'd talk later and sort it out, as mothers do. But something bigger was coming, and this time, I wouldn't look away. I didn't seek trouble. I just needed help. A few weeks after our argument, money was tight, groceries low, power bill higher than expected. I didn't panic. I'd faced worse. I just needed a small loan until my check came. Marcus mentioned a retired judge, Sarah Coleman, who volunteered at the community center, helping older women with legal advice. "She's sharp, Miss Clara," he said. "You'll like her." I didn't want to bother anyone, but I called. Sarah came over the next afternoon, tall, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, with a kind but no-nonsense voice. She wore slacks and carried a tote full of folders. "Miss Evelyn," she said, shaking my hand firmly. "You needed assistance?" "Just a little guidance," I said, offering her a seat. "I might need a few dollars to tide me over. Not behind, just a rough month." She gave me a careful look. "Do you mind me asking, any retirement account? Savings?" I nodded. "I have some, but James manages it." She set her tote down. "How involved are you with that management?" I hesitated. "He's got access, pays the bills, handles the boring stuff, so I don't worry." Sarah leaned forward. "Can we check your online banking just to ensure everything's in order?" I felt uneasy, but trusted her tone. I opened my laptop, and after a few tries, logged into my account. I saw it before she said anything. The balance was wrong. She scrolled silently as my heart raced. When she turned to me, her voice was gentle, like a friend who'd seen this before. "Miss Evelyn," she said, "your account's been drained over the past year. Multiple withdrawals, thousands, mostly to a secondary account." I felt cold. "That's probably James's. He's been managing things." She pointed to a line. "Jewelry, resort charges, electronics, even consulting services, all routed to his personal account. This isn't management, it's misuse." My throat tightened. "He's been stressed. Said things were tight." Sarah's look was firm but kind. "Evelyn, you're not a bank. You don't exist to be drained while smiling." My lips trembled. "But he's my son." "And you're his mother," she replied. "You're worth more than this. You raised him, worked hard. You don't owe him everything." My hands ached from clenching. I thought of scrubbing floors, saving receipts, skipping hair appointments for James's football cleats, never showing my fear when money ran low. I thought of waiting alone on my birthday while they partied with my money. "I don't want to hurt him," I whispered. "You're not," she said. "He's hurting you." We didn't finish that day. I needed time. Sarah left her card and said to call if anything came up. It didn't take long. The next week, James showed up, smiling. "Hey, Mom," he said, stepping in. "Good news. Found a fixer-upper house with potential. Need 40 grand for the down payment. Can you front me part of the inheritance now?" That was it. The air left my lungs. I looked at him, unflinching, believing he deserved my life's work. "I don't have that kind of money," I said. He leaned back. "Sure you do. You just don't want to help." My voice was flat. "You've been helping yourself, James. I've seen the charges." His expression shifted. "Excuse me?" "The resort, the jewelry, the electronics. You've been draining my account." He stood. "You went through my stuff?" "No," I said calmly. "I went through mine." He scoffed. "So what? You're cutting me off after everything I've done?" "You mean using me?" I stood too. Lying? Leaving me on my birthday while you partied on my dime? He snapped, "You'll be alone. Don't call me when you need something." I picked up Sarah's card and met his eyes. "I won't." He stormed out, slamming the door. I called Sarah. "Let's get started." Within a week, she helped me transfer my accounts, lock my credit, and revoke James's access. The calls started. Missed calls, notifications, then texts. "Mom, we need to talk. Why's my card declining? Call me. This is serious." I didn't answer. Sarah said the legal paperwork would take days, but once the accounts were frozen, James felt it. I pictured him at a checkout. Card declined, eyes narrowing, panic setting in when the bank login failed. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. But freedom brings knocks. Saturday morning, I was folding laundry when heavy footsteps hit my porch. James burst in, fuming. "What's going on?" I stayed calm, ready for this. "Be specific," he scoffed. "My business account's frozen. The credit card for utilities got cut off at the gas station." "You trying to embarrass me, Mom?" "I'm protecting what's mine." He stepped closer. "You're doing this to your own son?" "No," I said. "You did it to me." Laura walked in, no heels or gloss, just a wrinkled hoodie and a tight jaw. "I told you this would blow up," she muttered to him, loud enough for me to hear. James snapped. "Stay out of it." "No," I said. "Let her talk. I'd love to hear what you told yourselves while sipping drinks on my birthday with my money." Laura looked away. James didn't flinch. "We needed help, Mom. The business wasn't taking off. You said your money was for family." "For emergencies," I said, stepping forward. "Groceries, medicine, maybe Emma's college fund. Not vacations and handbags I wasn't invited to." "We'd pay it back," he said. "When? After I'm gone? When the house is sold?" His face flushed. "Don't say that." "Why not? You've spent like I'm already dead." The silence was heavy. He spoke, voice bitter. "You always make things harder than they need to be." "And you made promises you didn't keep," I said. "You promised my birthday, a trip, that I wouldn't feel forgotten." His eyes shifted. Not guilt, just realization I wasn't bending. "So what now? You're cutting us off?" I walked to the dining room drawer, pulled out a letter, and set it on the table. "What's that?" he asked. "My will," I said. "Drawn up last week. Every penny goes to a women's shelter downtown, for older women used by those they loved most." He blinked, stunned. "You're cutting me out?" "You cut yourself out when you saw a resource instead of a mother." Laura was crying quietly, grabbing her purse, backing toward the door. "I didn't know it was that bad," she whispered. "I thought you were okay with it. James said you knew." I said nothing. Silence spoke louder. She left. James stood, jaw clenched, searching for words to win me back. He found none and walked out, slamming the door so hard Harold's picture rattled. I straightened it, sat at the table, looked at the laundry, and laughed softly. Not from humor, but from the sound of my strength returning. For years, I thought love meant sacrifice, that being a good mother meant giving until I was empty. But I wasn't empty. I was done being their foundation while they built castles I wasn't invited to. For the first time in decades, my house felt like mine again. A year passed, quiet and full, like spring breaking through frozen ground. Some days were tough, sitting by the window, wondering if I was too harsh, if I should have answered their calls. But then I'd remember the Cancun photo, James asking for my inheritance like I was already gone, the sting of my empty birthday table. So, no, I didn't pick up, not when James called 4 weeks after I locked the accounts, not when he texted, "So, it's like that." Yes, it was, because taking control of my money, my name, my future felt like climbing out of a well I didn't know I was drowning in. Sarah helped me secure everything, transferred assets, revoked James's access, reported suspicious charges, some refunded. She connected me with a financial advisor who treated me like a woman who knew the value of every dollar, not some fool. We updated my will. All my funds, bonds, and property went to a nonprofit for elderly women silenced or coerced by family. I told only Marcus and Sarah. Marcus checked on me weekly, fixing my TV remote, bringing bread, or just listening as I talked about Harold or sewing prom dresses for the neighborhood. He never asked for anything, never acted entitled. For my 76th birthday, I didn't set a table for ghosts. I booked the community center's small room and ordered real food, nothing fancy. Deviled eggs, fried chicken, red beans, lemon-glazed pound cake. I wore a warm gold dress, feeling radiant again, and invited those who showed up when I was at my lowest. Marcus arrived first, with a Bluetooth speaker playing Mahalia Jackson and 24 flowers. Sarah came next, sharp as ever with her wise smile. Then the women from the shelter, some with canes, some with grandkids, all in their finest. We laughed, danced, shared stories and cake. Then Emma came. She slipped in quietly, no grand entrance, holding a plain birthday card. No new bracelets, no perfect hair. She looked nervous. "Grandma," she said at the door. "I didn't know what they were doing. Dad said you didn't want to travel, that you were too tired. I believed him. But I saw the receipts and the truth. I'm so sorry." I looked at my granddaughter, once my little kitchen helper, stirring grits with both hands on a stool. "It hurt, baby," I said, nodding. "It really did." She stepped closer. "Can I stay?" I paused, then handed her a plate. "Go on, grab some pound cake before Sarah eats it all." She joined with a small, grateful smile, but I didn't hug her. Not yet. She'd have to earn that. Marcus drove me home as the sun set over the rooftops. I held the flowers in my lap. "Better than last year?" he asked. I looked out the window. It wasn't better. I owned it. At home, I stood on the porch, the cool breeze like a gift on my skin. I thought about how far I'd come. Inside, I slipped into my robe, brewed tea, and ignored my phone. I didn't check for James's texts. I sat at my kitchen table and smiled. Not from happiness, but from wholeness. I still loved them, but I was loving myself now too.